Many creators out there are building challenges for their audience, but what exactly is an online challenge and how can you create one for your audience? Well, here at Heights Platform, we're experts at running challenges. In fact, we built a software that creators use to make their challenges. So in this video, I'm going to show you the process for you to create a challenge of your own. If you want to see more videos like this one helping you grow your online knowledge business, please click like and subscribe below. Hey everyone, I'm Brian McAnulty, the founder of Heights Platform, the online course creation software that helps creators like you monetize your knowledge and get your customers results. So to start off, what exactly is an online challenge and how does that differ from an online course? Now, there are a lot of people that use the term challenge in their marketing, but really the actual concept of a challenge has a few key things that will differentiate it from an online course. Now, the first thing is the length. Now, an online course can be kind of however long. It's something that the student goes through at their own pace, and there's generally not a defined range of dates that it exists for. Whereas an online challenge is generally something that's much shorter. So you might have a 5-day challenge, 7-day challenge, 30-day challenge, and in rare cases, maybe something that goes on for a year, but generally it's about 30 days or less. The next thing is how the access actually happens for the challenge content versus an online course. With an online course, as I said, it's self-paced, so the student signs up and they start getting access to the lessons and the content and they go through it just at their own pace when they have time. But with an online challenge, the difference is the content is coming out at the same time for everyone, and it's happening at the same time for everyone. And this adds a really powerful social component to the challenge because when you're going through it as the customer, as the student, you know that everybody else is going through it at the same time. So that's creating some urgency and that's creating some motivation for everyone to actually go through and complete the challenge together. The next difference with an online challenge is how the access period works for that content. So it's not just about the length of how long the challenge is around, but actually for the individual lessons and the individual pieces of that challenge, how long they're around. Oftentimes, you might even have some of the content expire before the challenge itself ends. For example, maybe you have day 1, your lesson comes out, and you have day 2's lesson come out, and then maybe day 1, by the time it gets to day 3, maybe the day 1 lesson is going to expire. So to sum it up, your online challenge has the goal of getting the student from point A to point B with a certain particular topic that your challenge is going to lead them through those steps. And you have a certain time period where you're going to run this challenge to help make sure that it's something that people can actually commit to. Everyone's going to go through it at the same time. And that's creating some social accountability for everyone. The content's going to expire either at the very end of the challenge or potentially some of it expiring along the way as other content's coming out. That's creating some urgency for your customers to actually go through it and actually absorb that content. Now we know what the challenge is. How are we going to actually create that challenge? The first step in creating your online challenge is deciding what the goal of your challenge is. And by this, I don't mean what the thing is that you're going to teach your student for them to accomplish. I mean, what is the challenge going to accomplish for your particular business? So in many cases, the reason that creators use challenges is because they're great lead magnets to get your students, get your customers really engaged in what you have to teach them and the content that you have to offer. So something like an online course, for example, it's really common for people to give away some kind of free mini course if you sign up and provide your email. But the problem that people have run into that, and the reason why people now are doing challenges instead of courses, is because when you give someone that free course, they can access it at their own pace. And so they say, yeah, I'll get around to it later. But then they never have time to do that. They don't actually engage in your content. So they listen to you, they get to the point that they say, oh, I want to get this free course, but then they don't make time to actually go through it. And how can you really help your customer if they're not actually absorbing that training from you? So an online challenge, you're adding in this urgency that this is when it's happening. It's happening right now, and you're all going to go through it together. And that gives the student some sense that, okay, well, if I want to get the value from this, I can't put it off. I have to do it right now. So that's the first and most popular way to use an online challenge. The next way to use an online challenge is it could actually be a product that you're selling. It could be even your flagship product offering, depending on the kind of business that you have. So, for instance, if you take a look at, let's say you're a fitness coach, some kind of fitness business that you have, challenges can be really powerful to offer as a higher priced product, actually. So, if you look at something like the brand Peloton, for example, they make these exercise bikes, and they're these pretty expensive exercise bikes. But then when you buy the exercise bike, it's not just the exercise bike that you bought, you actually have to pay a subscription to use it. Which, if you just said that to somebody, you would say, wow, that's crazy. Why would I pay a subscription to use a product that I already bought? But the brand is doing great. They're really popular. And the reason for that is that they kind of have some similar components to what a challenge is inside what they've built with their product, where you have this screen on the bike, and the screen is allowing you to go through this workout in real time with other people just around the world as you're doing that. And so that's the same kind of concept with a challenge, that you're doing it at the same time as these other people. You actually have some social interaction and engagement with everyone, and you're all working towards trying to accomplish that together. So you have some competition with the other people that are also going through it, and it's more motivating to help you actually get that done. So those are the couple ways that you could use a challenge, either as this lead magnet or as actually a premium product. But whichever way you decide, the process for actually creating it is going to be pretty similar. So the next step is, how long is your challenge going to be? Now, you might start with a shorter challenge and you make it a little bit longer later on. You can always test this and repeat this and find out really what works best for you. But for most cases, something like a 5-day challenge, 7-day challenge, maybe a 30-day challenge, that's probably where you should try to aim for. One of those is usually the best option. Generally, when someone has like a year-long challenge, it's not really serving the same exact kind of purpose, because if you can really keep your student engaged that long, that's great. And that's really useful for the challenge to work that way. But probably it's not going to work the same way exactly as a lead magnet. Maybe that would be a case where it's more of a premium product that you're selling, that you might have this longer challenge. So first you want to decide the length, and then you want to decide how often are you going to actually release content throughout that challenge. So with a 5-day challenge or 7-day challenge, it's pretty easy, because generally what you're going to do is you're going to release content daily. So every day there's going to be one new lesson or one new piece of content that comes out that's giving your student one step that they have to complete. So you want to think of, what do you want to take the student through on this journey of what they have to complete during this challenge? And how can you break that into these actionable steps that you can have over the course of 5 days, 7 days, or 30 days even? So the goal is, with every lesson, there should be ideally something that the student can actually perform or do to accomplish. You don't want it to only be just consuming the content. There's got to be some kind of step that the student can actually take on their own. And that's going to help them not only learn and better practice whatever it is that you're teaching them, but also that's going to help them stay engaged as well, because they're actually doing something as opposed to only listening to what you're saying or watching a video or downloading something. One of the ways that you can make it easier for yourself to break down all the lessons and the steps needed to create this challenge is by creating an outline. So I'm going to link to another video that I made in the description here about the importance of creating an outline to help you build an online course. Now, for an online challenge, it's really the same thing, that you want to create an outline of all these different steps, and that's going to make it easier for you to break down and figure out, okay, now what is each lesson going to be? What do I have to make or record or create for the content of each of these lessons? Now, after you've figured out the structure for all your content and how many steps you need and how long the challenge is going to be, now you're probably also going to want to create an email sequence or some way of notifying your students every time you have a new lesson available, because you want to make sure that your students don't miss it, since a challenge is going on for such a short period. So if you have a 7-day challenge, maybe even a 5-day challenge, you want to make sure that students don't miss out on one of those days and then suddenly they kind of fall off of the challenge. So you want to create some emails to go out and introduce every lesson as it's coming out. And if you have a 5-day challenge, then maybe it makes sense to have an email for every single day. If your challenge is a little bit longer, then maybe it's not going to be as frequent, but maybe, like, let's say for a month-long challenge, you might change that. Instead of emailing people every day, for depending on the topic, the every day could work, but you might even say, okay, well, once a week, I'm going to email everyone, remind them, hey, the lessons for this week are going to come out on these days or every day of the week. And you're probably going to want to describe a little bit about that. So your email can act as the introduction to saying, like, this is what we're going to learn. This is what it's going to help you do. And then the lesson itself is going to help the student go and accomplish that next step in the challenge. And a final thing to note here that I think is really important for the content of the challenge itself is it's actually not too hard to build out the content for a challenge, because it's generally meant to be shorter. So when you go and record a lesson for your challenge, it shouldn't be a 2-hour long video lesson, something like that. That's going to be too long for the student to engage with and too long for people really to commit to do every single day. Because as I said before, the lesson is not only the content that the student has to watch or read or listen to from you, but it's something that they have to go and actually take that step to progress and accomplish whatever the goal is of that challenge. So ideally, the lessons that you create and the videos that you create, the content that you create, every lesson should maybe be something where the student can get through it in a few minutes. So maybe your lesson is just a few minutes long, maybe it's 10 minutes long, but generally you want to stay around that range. It should be something that the student can absorb, this kind of bite-sized content that the value you're providing them is getting them through to take this small step every day to accomplish a specific goal. So you don't want to make it too long, because if you make it too long, then the student really isn't going to engage with it anymore. They're going to see it and say, oh, I don't have time, and they're not going to finish the challenge. And you want them to finish the challenge, number one, because you're hoping that if this is a lead magnet, then you're hoping that they're going to buy something else from you in the future and stay engaged, or even just because you're really trying to provide this result for the student. You want them to accomplish that end result. So you want to make sure that you give them something digestible and easy to go through. By now, hopefully you have a pretty good understanding of what it actually takes to create a challenge for your audience. But what I would like you to share is, what is your challenge going to be about? So leave a comment below and let us know what your challenge is going to be about. And that way, if there's someone watching this video and you're thinking, okay, I know I should create a challenge, I'm not quite sure what it would be, hopefully you can check in the comments and get some ideas or examples of what you could create. The last step in creating your challenge is, after you've built it, you want to have a process where you can repeat or relaunch the challenge in the future. And being able to do that is either going to be really hard or really easy, depending on the tool that you choose to use to build your challenge. And as I said earlier, we are the software that allows creators to build challenges. So with Heights platform, it's really easy to create the challenge for a certain time period, have students be able to buy it before it comes out, then get access to it as soon as it launches, have your lessons scheduled to release on certain days, have emails that are automatically going to go out to your students with the release of those lessons. So you don't need a separate tool to connect for any of that. It's all in one system. And then after the challenge is over, you can either offer an upsell to students, where after they complete the challenge, they can now see another product that you have to offer them. Maybe it's your flagship course or coaching program. And then finally, you've got a really easy way to just simply relaunch the challenge when you want to run it again. And all you have to do is pick the new start date for the challenge, and Heights platform will automatically calculate all of your lesson release dates and the challenge end date, and will redo all your emails, redo all your lesson releases, and make it really easy for you to just click a button, restart that challenge, and get a whole new wave of customers or students going through it. I'm going to put a couple links in the description below of some blog posts we wrote about the benefits of using challenges and how to create challenges. as well as some more videos helping you learn to create challenges. So I hope this was all helpful. If you want to see some more videos about how to create challenges for your online business, check out this next video.